Just before the turn of the year, my Tab S9 Ultra got Samsung's OneUI 6 update. Let's deep dive into everything that this update has changed on Samsung's flagship tablet. Welcome back to SamMobile TV. You're here with Daniel. To look at the OneUI 6 update, we're going to break it down into different categories because it's not just about the individual features that Samsung have updated. There is core things about how you'll use it that will make sense clumped in together. First, we're going to look at the user interface and some different ways you can actually interact with it. Then we're going to dive into Samsung DeX and some of the productivity features that Samsung have enabled here. It's not as important for tablets, but Samsung have changed some things about the camera, but more importantly, they've changed things about the gallery and how you can interact with editing your photos and videos as well. So we'll take a look at that. And we're going to look at some of the Samsung apps that invariably get updates throughout the update process and some of the extra functions that's enabled, as well as touch on some settings that you should know about that's changed within OneUI 6 as well. All right, before we do crack into the user interface, when you do get the download, Samsung has got some things in here that allows you to check out the individual apps that will get updates as well. You can actually click on the list and you can untick if you don't wish that to get updated. Obviously, just update them all. It's way easier. Now, once the update has finished, you will notice a couple of different things about OneUI 6 straight away. The first thing is Samsung has made some subtle changes to the font and even the icons of the apps. And something even more subtle is in Samsung apps, they've removed the Samsung branding altogether. So things like the Galaxy Store just says Store. Things like Samsung Health just says Health. It's just a couple of things that Samsung have done to refine the visual appearance of certain apps on your screens so it's not taking up too much space, for example. There's also a new font to go along with that. Again, it's a very subtle difference, but it's all about changing the aesthetic and just the feel of it. Part of this rebrand with OneUI 6 is a new notifications layout. You'll notice it here that compared to OneUI 5.1.1 is that the notifications have kind of been separated a little bit and grouped into their categories a little bit neater and more organized. It's a preference thing. I actually have gotten used to this new way that when I started using the old way before I updated, I didn't like it. So I'm very much ingrained in this new way now, and it's obviously a much easier way of interacting with notifications. The thing is too, this quick panel has undergone a complete redesign. Apart from the fact that the brightness slider is now there by default in the single swipe down, which should have been there from the start, you now have an expanded quick panel that is completely revamped. What I really like about it is that Samsung has removed core functions from the middle, the thing you slide through, the menu, I don't know what you call it, the panel. The thing is Samsung removed core functions from the panel that you normally slide through and made it its own sort of fixed area. Like it or not, I actually think it's a really nice way of bringing things that you will probably activate more frequently and look for more frequently and have a permanent spot for them. Things like your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth, which sit at the top. Things like the bottom, which have your device control and your brightness controls. All of that's going to have its permanent spot, and you still have the middle to be able to swipe through and find extra stuff as you need it. You can edit these views and which toggles you can actually put there. That's possible. What is also possible is you can make this a single swipe away instead of a double swipe. In the quick settings instant access menu that you see there, you can activate a top right slide down option. Toggle this on, and anytime you swipe down from the top right of the screen, it will bring down this expanded quick panel. You can of course still use the double finger swipe method to bring the expanded quick panel down from anywhere on the top part of the screen. But if you just want the single swipe to be your main way of doing it, you can activate that from the top right corner. The other thing that's part of this new quick panel redesign is the improved music player or media player. You will now see proper album art in the expanded view. The collapsed view is still the same, but in the expanded view, your music player has a bit more sort of going on there. It's a bit more aesthetically pleasing, there's some better animations, and the album art's there. This same change also makes its way to the lock screen of OneUI 6. You get that new media panel there as well as in the quick panel inside the main part of the device. While we're on the lock screen, you can reposition your clock when you're editing the lock screen easier. That's new. Back on the home screen, Samsung has continued the theme of the two-finger multitasking that they introduced with OneUI 5.1.1. You can long press on an app and then use your other finger to swipe through the pages and drop it somewhere else. It's a very small change, but it can make things a little bit easier when you're trying to rearrange and customize your home screens. That's a bit of a theme. You'll see that throughout the rest of this video and some of the apps that Samsung has updated as well. Samsung has changed multi-window. very, very minimally. You'll be able to keep a pop-up window held open in the Recents tabs. So when you have a pop-up window and you swipe up to go back to home, when you go to Recents, that pop-up window will stay there in its size and all, and you click on it and it reopens it back into pop-up form. It's there. Samsung has changed the widgets around a little bit. There is a new Smart Suggestions widget that is a little bit more customizable than before. So you can actually exclude apps now that you don't want to appear in the Smart Suggestions widget, as well as control the background color and the transparency. I think it's kind of neat to exclude apps because of the way Smart Suggestions works. It's always trying to put apps that you use frequently in that card, but you might not want some apps to appear. It will reference that list and remove them. And the Finder app, or at least the Finder function. Samsung has made something really small in there where you can long press on an app that you've searched for and it will bring up the menu for that app that you can go into a shortcut. It's very, very tiny, but it's something that they've changed and I thought you should know. Now we're going to look at productivity and the two things that Samsung have enabled that are specific to the Tab S9 series. The first is to do with Samsung DeX. Without really telling anyone, Samsung completely changed Samsung DeX on the tablet. I don't know why. It didn't happen on the S23 or the Fold. That DeX experience is the same. But on the tablet, when you launch DeX, it goes into this new tablet DeX, which is basically just a tablet. The only difference is Samsung has sort of fused the tablet UI and the DeX UI and made like this hybrid UI. You can see the old DeX UI here. It's basically as it was, you know, it looks like a Microsoft Windows interface really. But the new one, there's a permanent taskbar down the bottom and you can swipe down from the top for the quick panel. It's very much like OneUI. And the only difference is when you launch an app, it's immediately resizable. You've got the DeX resizable window options there. I get what Samsung have done here. I truly do. They're trying to keep the way you've organized your tablet screen into a more sort of interactive productivity environment. But I think for DeX, the purpose of it is people are going into a separate environment on purpose. That's what they want to do. That's their intention. The good thing is Samsung has kept the old way of DeX around. So you just go into the DeX settings and switch to the classic version, but the new version will launch by default once you've updated. So at least you should know that that change is there and you can go back to it, no harm, no foul. The other thing Samsung has done is they've enabled link to Windows for tablets now. So before it just used to be a phone function. Now you can link your tablet to your Windows PC and have all of that same interactivity from both of those devices. Whether it's needed, I'm not sure, because a lot of people, your notifications come through on your phone, but some people might not have a Samsung phone and they might have a Samsung tablet, and the link to Windows platform will work on their PC and tablet. So it's just expanding the availability. That's pretty much what they've done. From a camera point of view, Samsung have brought in all the changes from their phone OneUI 6 into the tablet. You get the new design of the camera app with the new fonts that all sort of come with it. All the icons are sort of changed to be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Obviously, the cameras here don't have the high resolution of your S23 or your Fold. So the only real difference to using the camera here is the new video resolution menu options that Samsung have made. It's just easier now to select the different resolutions and frame rate compared to what it was before. You also do get Samsung's scan documents or auto scan documents feature that they enabled on the phones. I really like this one, and I think for tablets it makes sense because a lot of people will use this as their productivity device. So having the option to turn this on in the camera settings and then hovering it over a receipt, for example, and it will automatically detect that it's a document and you don't have to do anything else after that. It will scan and take the photo and shape it up, and then you just have to save it afterwards. I really like it. One that's probably not too relevant for tablets is the keep pictures and videos level. So Samsung, through having the grid lines turned on, so you do need to go in and turn the grid lines on first, have enabled a leveler feature. So in video and other sort of photo and video modes, you can basically have this little line pop up that keeps the videos and photos level. Should you take photos or videos on a tablet though? No. But if you do use this for recording sort of podcasts, whatever it is, you can at least ensure that this is level before you go hit record. Some other settings that Samsung have brought into the camera settings in particular is you can now turn off the swipe up and down to go from the front to the rear camera. This can be quite useful, particularly if you accidentally are sort of swiping through to change modes and you accidentally swipe up and it goes to the front camera and you're horrified with the selfie. You can immediately turn this off and that interaction goes away and you just do it the old-fashioned way. Something that's quite neat too is Samsung has enabled a custom camera widget. I really like this. If you put this widget on your home screens, you can press on it and it will automatically go into the camera mode that you have selected this widget to activate. So when you're setting up the widget, you can change the name of the widget, you can select the camera, whether it's rear or front, and then the mode as well that you want to associate with it. And you can also select the gallery album that you'd like it to save to. So every time you press on this widget, it'll bring up that mode. It'll then have in the bottom corner the album that it's saving to. So every time you use it, it'll save directly to that album. Really clever. Now let's go into the gallery. Samsung has put a host of changes here in the gallery. The first one that they've kind of activated is a new info button. This is a button that on the phone sits in the middle, but on the tablet sits in the top, sort of in that sort of options and menu settings. You press this info button, it'll bring up the information for the photo that you're looking at. What Samsung has enabled in this information view is some quick edits in this view. So depending on the photo that you're looking at, it'll recommend a couple of different options. What I noticed is if it's a photo of a face, it'll recommend to add a portrait effect to it. So they used to have this before in the 3-dot menu, but it's now brought to life in your face here. And when you click on it, it takes you straight into the menu to add that sort of artificial background blur, and you can control it. I like that it's been brought into your face a bit more. I think that means a lot more people will actually use it. Something you can do now as well is before you could create stickers, or you could at least isolate and crop out when you long pressed on something in the photo. It was a bit of a long process to create a sticker. Now there's a save as sticker option. So when you hold down on the photo, hit save as sticker, when you go to add it to a photo later and you go to stickers, you'll see it there within the gallery part of the stickers. You can now add that into your photo. Something else within the gallery too is the dragging and dropping with 2 fingers. So if you long press on a photo and then you want to put it into another album, you can use your other finger to swipe through, select the album, and then drop that photo in with the finger that's still holding the photo. Again, makes use of the 2 hands that you have and allows for a lot quicker multitasking interactions to take place. And something else that no one's really talking about is Gallery Labs. Every single time Samsung bring out a new version of OneUI, the gallery will get a new function within Gallery Labs. What's Gallery Labs, I hear? That's a really great question, viewer. Basically what Gallery Labs is a hidden menu that Samsung has enabled to activate extra functions or bring functions back. So the way it works is you go into the settings of the gallery and into About Gallery, and you tap on the version number multiple times until the Gallery Labs is enabled. Within this menu, you will then see a bevy list of features that you can interact, and you can see which OneUI version that they've added things to. For example, with OneUI 6, Samsung removed the information button from the 3-dot menu, which is odd. So you can bring it back pressing this button on Gallery Labs. But one I was really interested in was Remote Gallery. By what it says here in the description, when you activate this, you'll be able to start a remote album that can be accessed from people within your network within the home. And I tested it, and I've tested it multiple times, and I still can't get it to work. I don't know whether it's ready yet. It's obviously in the lab, so it's not quite ready for full-fledged versions of the feature, but it's just not working. So I'm ready and waiting for when it does turn on, but right now it doesn't do anything. Samsung have optimized the photo editor. There's a couple other things that they said in the changelog that I'm not going to go into. The main one is that Object Eraser now has a better home. There is a 4-dot sort of menu, I guess you could call, in the bottom left corner, that when you press on this, Object Eraser is in there. Gives you a much easier access to a feature that a lot of people should use more often. What I'm most excited about though is Samsung have brought in a new video editor. It's called Studio. In the 3, I guess, hamburger menu, the 3-line menu in Gallery, you will see at the bottom, go to Studio. Once you activate that, it will prompt you to add it to your home screen as a shortcut, which you can or can't do. It depends on if you're going to use it. But in here, what I really like is Samsung has made it a lot easier to actually edit videos that are on your device. The thing I most appreciate about it though, above all else, is the fact it will save a project automatically. Previously with Samsung's video editor, if you made a video and you exited out of the video editor, you lost everything. Here, it keeps it saved as a project so you can come back to it at any time. I appreciate that a lot, and I'm looking forward to where Samsung can improve this over time as well. Closely, I guess, tied into that is there is a new interface or enhanced layout for the video player. The main thing I noticed is the icons are a little bit different, and also the playback controls for speed have changed. It used to be a slider, now it's numbers. So you literally select numbers and it'll change the playback speed. That's obviously a lot more user intuitive, and depending on how often you need to use that, that will make things a lot easier. Now we're going to look at Samsung apps, and it's quite well known that Samsung update pretty much all their apps when a new version of OneUI comes out, but a lot of it's background stuff. It doesn't really change interfaces. But the apps I'm about to talk to you have extra features and functions about them because of OneUI 6. The first one is Samsung Health. Now I say that, and it's very much contradicting what I just said. Samsung Health changed before OneUI 6, so it could be ready for OneUI 6, if that makes sense. Basically, it's got a new interface. The new card style layout's a lot cleaner or more aesthetically pleasing. But the thing that I really like that they've done here is the custom cup size. Hallelujah. If you use Samsung Health a lot and you track your water, it's been fixed to 250ml cup size for years. So what they've finally done is allow you to enter a custom cup size, so you're not fixed to just 250ml, because you might not have just 250ml. You might use an 800ml bottle, and that's what you track by bottle. So you can enter that in now. Really great. The calendar has also got an update. There's a new schedule view, which when you press on it, rather than showing you every day, it just shows you the days in a chronological order that you have events scheduled for. Nice. If you're someone who just wants to see what you have and doesn't need to plan anymore, this is the view for you. In keeping with the other two-finger multitasking theme that they've introduced, you can also drag and drop events using this method. So in the daily or weekly view, if you long press on an event and then use the other finger to swipe, you'll be able to swipe through and drop it down into a day that you want it to be on. Simple. And Samsung has said they've integrated reminders more tightly into calendar. So you can see the reminders tab there. It'll show you all your reminders, and there's a shortcut to go into the reminders app from the calendar itself, which they've also updated the reminders app. Samsung has brought in some more optimized and enhanced layouts for its list view, for example, and they've also added in all-day events that you can schedule in reminders and some extra categories as well. If you're like me and you think reminders and calendar should just merge into one, let me know in the comments, because I 100% think that should be the case. Samsung Internet. Now I have made a YouTube short about this change. Samsung Internet has brought in a really cool feature called background play. Let's say you're watching a video on YouTube even, for example, maybe, and you wanted to exit out of that and have the sound keep playing. Currently, it'll stop the video, no sound will play. With this background play feature turned on, it'll keep the video playing in the background even once the app has been exited. It sits inside the useful features settings within the menu. You turn this on, and you can have it either be through headphones only or through the just on in general. And when you do go out of it, you'll see it sitting there continuing to play the sound outputting. Really clever and can be really useful. They've also enhanced the tab list for large screens. So this being a large screen is exactly what Samsung are referencing here. They've also enabled the two-finger drag and drop for tabs as well. So you can create folders and whatnot from tabs using that two-finger multitasking method that I've been displaying. So that's here as well. Smart Select, one of my favorite little screenshotting tools that Samsung do, has also got an update. It now has this little magnified view. So when you are sort of trying to precisely sort of crop something, it brings up a little magnifying glass to show you how close you are to the thing you're cropping. And when you pin something to the screen permanently, there is an option to extract the text from that pinned version of the screenshot. So you can then copy and paste that text anywhere you like. The My Files app, which is a very thorough app that Samsung have to store all of your information, very organized as well, has now consolidated the trash or recycle bin into one. So there's been different recycle bins for gallery, for My Files, and for voice recorder, for example. Samsung has now decided to bring them all together. So if you have things in the gallery recycle bin or in the My Files recycle bin, it's all going to be housed here together in one consolidated version. Finishing off with some settings, Samsung has introduced a smarter airplane mode. This is actually really good. If you travel a lot and you put airplane mode on all the time, or flight mode as we call it here, when you turn it on, it automatically shuts off Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Excruciating the way it does that. What Samsung has done here is that it will still do that the first time you turn flight mode on, but when you turn it back on, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, whilst it's in flight mode, it'll actually remember that. Gives you a little notification to let you know. So the next time you activate flight mode, it'll keep Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on. And especially it's great if you've got headphones connected or if you're connected to the in-flight Wi-Fi, it'll make sure that that stays on. And again, it lets you know once flight mode is turned on that that setting has been changed. Clever. Samsung has changed the battery settings menu. Not only have they removed it from device care, I shouldn't say they've removed it because it is still in the device care menu. They've just now given it its own spot within settings. but the battery settings menu looks a little bit different. They've removed some features out to be a bit more prominent, like protect battery, and also it just looks a little bit more neater the way they've designed it. So you can see things a little bit more visually for your battery usage in this settings menu. And that is effectively One UI 6 on the Tab S9 Ultra. Now, pretty much all of these move its way back to the Tab S9 as well. So they will all apply a lot of these changes. So don't stress if you just saw the Ultra in this video, it does apply below as well. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to SamMobile. We've got a big month ahead, big year ahead, 2024. So make sure you hit us up here. Also go check out our website, sammobile.com, as well as all our socials, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, we're everywhere pretty much. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.